Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community. You are listening to Beyond the Barriers with Coach Cindy
and Mayor Sherry. On the Beyond the Barriers radio show, we believe we have the power to change the trajectory of our economic, social, health, and education outcomes by removing barriers that lie within historically excluded communities through cooperative models.
And our show sponsors is Sandhills Cooperation Association, located at 348 North Main Street, Troy, North Carolina, serving 5 counties: Montgomery, Randolph, Moore, Richmond, and Stanley counties.
Today, join us for a special episode titled March into Wellness, Navigating Healthcare in Historically Excluded Communities, with a unique focus on healthcare from a doctor's perspective. In this enlightening episode, we'll delve into the experiences and insights of healthcare professionals who are committed to bridging the gap in healthcare access. It's not just about seeing a doctor, it's about feeling heard and understood. Trust is key. When healthcare providers truly understand our backgrounds and our cultural nuances, it makes all the difference in our care. From addressing cultural barriers to advocating for equitable healthcare policies, our guest will share his strategies for promoting wellness and resilience within historically excluded communities. So tune in as we march into wellness together, navigating the complexities of healthcare with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to breaking down barriers. Ready to ignite change? Sandhills Cooperation Association empowers historically excluded communities, helping them become self-sufficient. Join us every Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. for our Beyond the Barriers radio show on WDRB Media with Mayor Sherry
and Coach Cindy, addressing community challenges. Visit us at sandhillscooperation.org or visit us on Facebook, Sandhills Cooperation Association, building brighter futures one community at a time.
Beyond the Barriers radio show.
Hello, Coach Cindy. How are you today?
I'm good, Mayor. All good. How are you?
It is all good.
It is all good.
Well, we're in our march into wellness. We're talking about navigating healthcare in historically excluded communities.
Yes.
And today we're talking about a doctor's perspective.
Yes.
Now, I know personally I'm not a doctor, so I do not have a doctor's perspective, but we do have guests today who's going to give us his perspective. But on our end, I believe that we can have a conversation about
what we think about doctors.
Right, what we think about doctors.
And how important is a doctor's perspective and how that weighs on the health of our community. We know historically our people generally bank on what the doctor says. If the doctor says take 16 prescriptions, they take 16 prescriptions.
Right.
And they generally don't ask questions. They just trust that the doctor has their best interests. Or they're desperate for a chance to continue to live, so they take the doctor's advice.
Right.
But how accurate is that? How do we change? And are there any good doctors out there who are really interested in the health of our community?
Even as we look at doctors and the necessity of it, many times we don't look at the necessity of doctors until we are actually having a problem, having an issue.
Yeah.
So what the doctor says before, we can take it lightly. I might follow him, I may not. Whenever we do get to a point of desperation, I think at that point, we put doctors in a category or in a place to where he's equal to God, really.
Yeah, we do. We depend on.
Right.
We depend on what we hope is their expertise. We depend on what we hope is their educational knowledge to help us get through our crisis. And it's sad that we do wait till it's a crisis, but that's cultural as well.
Right.
Like you said, before I go to the doctor, let me try this salve that my mama made, which may have helped in some areas, but we often too ignore our body communication. Like our body communicate, man, I had this pain. Well, you keep having that pain. That's an alarm system. But getting back to doctors and how they affect our community's perspective about who they are, and how their perspective about our community actually forms how they treat us. You don't have to read long or far to hear doctors or health professionals talking about how Black people have something different. Like maybe we can. We've had to learn to tolerate pain, but that don't mean we want to.
Exactly.
Doctors' perspective about who walks into their doors plays a big part in how that person is going to be treated.
Right.
Whether, I can look at you, and if you walk up and say you have no insurance, what is that doctor thinking? He's in a business, and the uninsured person is not going to feed the business. So how is that going to affect how he treats that person?
So do you think there is a correlation between, like, say, for instance, I come in, have a good job, good paying job, good insurance. So I come in and that doctor's office knows that my insurance is going to pay for whatever, overnight, right? Or I may be able to pay that day. I might be self-pay, so I can pay out of my pocket that day. However, you got somebody that's coming in with Medicaid, and then they know that it's reimbursable. So probably take about 30 days in order for them to get paid. And so I'm sure all of that comes into play in some way or another, even if it's not intentional.
Right.
What do you believe that there is a correlation?
I do. I'm not putting all doctors in one pot. I think the doctor we're going to speak to today, though, give us that perspective of what he does and what he's seen his colleagues do. Personally, yes, I think there is a serious correlation between whether I can pay or not pay. I think because they're taught to do business. I don't care what kind of business person you are. Subconsciously, every opportunity you want to see if that's going to feed my business. That's pretty natural. But I think as a doctor, it should go deeper than that. I think my personal belief is if you are a doctor, it ought to be a calling, not a profession choice, not a career choice, because you are dealing with the human being on so many levels. So I don't think that you should go into the practice of a doctor with a business mindset. I think business happens and you have to deal with it, but I don't think it should be the focus. However, I don't think that's how they do it. Most doctors, I don't think. But we're going to find out today. I'm excited about our guest for this segment is because he's doing a lot of work in a lot of different places and looking and seeing a lot of different cultures. And we're going to get a broad perspective on how doctors think.
Yeah, and I agree on that. And maybe this is a new breed of doctors coming
forth,
who is looking at community, looking at the needs of the community and responding in that way. And I think even with who we're interviewing today, there's a precedence that have been set. And so if we listen in carefully, this segment right here can be life-changing.
It can.
For health professionals to see things in a different light and to do things different.
Yes, so I hope our listeners really engage today. Even though we're getting a doctor's perspective, it'll also give them an opportunity to get their own perspective about healthcare and what it means to me, my family, and my community.
Right, that's good. So we're on Beyond the Barriers radio show. I am your host, Mayor Sherry.
And I'm Coach Cindy.
And we'll be right back after this.
Beyond the Barriers radio show.
Attention innovators, community builders, and champions of positive change. Beyond the Barriers radio show is inviting you to be part of our empowering journey. We're on the lookout for sponsors who believe in breaking barriers and amplifying voices in historically excluded communities. Want to showcase your brand or cause to our engaged audience? Visit Sandhill Scooperation or to explore exciting sponsorship opportunities, from on-air endorsements to impactful commercials. Become a part of a platform that celebrates resilience, triumph, and community strength. Our show is not just about telling stories. It's about shaping narratives and making a lasting impact. By sponsoring Beyond the Barriers, you align your brand with a mission of inclusivity, empowerment, and positive change. Visit sandhillscooperation.org today to purchase advertisements, endorsements, or even secure a spot as a guest on our show. Let's break barriers together and create a vibrant, connected community. Beyond the Barriers Radio Show, where every sponsorship is an investment in positive transformation. Be a catalyst for change. Visit sandhillscooperation.org now. Beyond the Barriers Radio Show, breaking barriers, building connections.
I'm just a kid, but I know something big. I know the power of community. In our historically excluded neighborhoods, we can rise together. We need your help, your support. Let's build something stronger and break the cycle. A better future is within reach, but we need you. Join hands, be the change. Together, we are a force. This is our community, our story. Will you be a part of it? Visit sandhillscooperation.org and become a part of the change.
Welcome to WDRB Media, the voice of the community. This is Beyond the Barriers Radio Show, and I am your host, Mayor Sherry.
And I'm Coach Cindy.
And today in our studio, we have Dr. David Parker. How are you today, Dr. Parker?
I'm doing fine. I'm glad to be with you guys today.
Well, it's good to have you with us. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, I'm Dr. David Parker. I reside here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but we work all around North Carolina. I'm right now working at Goshen Medical Center. We have approximately 42 clinics all around North Carolina and some also in South Carolina. And I serve in supervision and a lot of those providers in the area. For 25 years, I worked at Village Family Care, my own practice, and we kind of did the same. We actually have outreach here in the communities, and we also have a global outreach ministry, which we go to Africa, India, South America, Central America to take healthcare as well. We have a team of physicians that we work with here.
So do you visit the different locations, or how does that work?
Yes, most of the locations we have here, I visit the ones that I supervise here. Approximately out of them, probably 2/3 of them I visit between here, around Troy, North Carolina, Sanford, Charlotte, down at the beach, South Carolina. So I get around quite a bit.
In all of those settings, I'm sure you see a lot of different people, right? So,
Yes.
Yeah, I know you do. So how do you
Yes.
ensure culturally sensitive and inclusive care for your patients in the historically excluded community?
The communities I go around provide medical care. These communities look a lot different than when I grew up. If you look at the United States, and especially here in the South, we have a diverse community of people. When I grew up, it was mainly, African American, Caucasian. Now we have Hispanics. We have people from all over the globe here. And they speak different, they have different cultures, they have different beliefs. Giving you an example, like with the Hispanic population, and I have a great population from the Middle East, also a lot of people from Yemen, Afghanistan, and you have to be very sensitive to their culture to provide medical care for them. They have like who is head of the home and they bring their children or their wife in. Who do you speak to? Same thing with the Hispanic population. So I think the best thing to do is look at for a provider. What I do is I look at the population of the community. I go online and get a sense of who lives in the community. I look at the income and see who's in maybe below the poverty line and poverty level, and are they getting care? I look at the population dynamics of that, in my view, look at how well we're providing health care for them, look at the birth rate, look at heart attack, strokes, diabetes, how prevalent it is in that community, look at how those diseases are affecting the people in that community. And most of the time, it's going to be the people who are at or below the poverty line. So we kind of home in on those particular populations that we treat.
You mentioned the different health disparities that you do address and that you're looking and studying those. I know with Goshen, you mentioned a lot of locations. What programs or initiatives do you all have to address health disparities, such as high blood pressure among those in Black communities?
We start with providers. At our clinic here in Fayetteville, we're what people call an onboarding site. Mm-hmm. So probably most of the physicians and the extended providers that we hire, they come through our clinic, and no matter how long you've been working, you have rotation there for weeks or months. And thank God I do have the leeway to determine how long that is per provider. And why we do that is we get them involved in community care. We have a mobile unit that goes out around North Carolina, South Carolina. We actually treat the homeless. We educate them, but we also treat them. If they have diabetes, hypertension, we provide medication for them. We try to provide training and sometimes other resources that beyond our needs that try to provide the resources that they need, maybe housing or maybe even a job search or something like that. But we start with the provider because a lot of our providers are not culturally sensitive. They came from maybe even the north or western part of our country, and where there wasn't a large variety of people or population. So we try to train them individually to make them aware of different cultures and how to address people who are impoverished. And then we go out in the mobile units and we provide an opportunity for them to rotate, not just in the clinic setting, but also in a mobile unit where we have triage, we have mobile unit where we can do physicals, the whole 9 yards. We also have a dental service that goes out as well. And we try to, I know like in White Oak, next month we have an outreach program for the community that we've been doing for many years. That was through Village Family Care and through White Oak Foundation. And we have free mammograms, free dental care, free education throughout the day. And we also have a sit down with the community leaders and try to get an idea of the need that they have in their communities.
I love the fact that you guys are not just addressing medical needs, but you're addressing the whole person. I know that kind of work don't come without challenges. So talk about some of the challenges you've encountered when you are providing that sort of healthcare in our historically excluded communities.
Oh, wow. I'll try to be brief on this one because it's so variable.
I know it is.
When you go in the community, of course, you have your, I would say, legislator or your community leaders and politicians. We kind of learn to do that through our global healthcare. So what we do when we go into Africa or India, we have 2 programs that we bring in, but one is called Barnabas Bar Petra, which means to come alongside. So in our global outreach, when we first started going in Belize, that was where we have our headquarters now for the past 20 years. We went in the community, we sat down with actually at that time was the mayor and with the deputy prime minister, and we asked them, what are they saying, what needs do they have in the community when it concerns healthcare? Most of their needs were they have a lot of disabled children that were not getting care, not even a physical, they didn't have no means of getting physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, these children that had disabilities. So we were able to bring that to them. It took years to make up such a program, but we did it through the help of the government. So the first thing in the community is the people who are kind of in charge or the leaders in the community sit down with them and say, what are you seeing? But most of the time, these people, they may or may not, most of the time they do have a vision for their community. And they know the health disparities. They're on the ground, they're boots on the ground, I would say. So we ask them, and then we ask them kind of how can we help you to meet that need? Would it be through a mobile unit? Would it be through working through the providers in the unit? Are they overwhelmed in what they do? So sometimes that's our Goshen. We set up a new clinic in areas. We did do that we go in the community and see the physicians and we talk with them if they're overwhelmed and they say, oh, we have a need for this, we have a need for that. And we try to provide that. And that's how we have right now 42 clinics.
And I know it works because that method of what do you need? How can I help? That is what makes people feel like they can actually express what they need instead of you telling them what they need. That's an inside out approach. And we found in our business that it definitely works.
And that's kind of what we did in the past. And with a lot of things, not just medicine, we go in the community and with people and we try to provide service that we think they need. And that has failed us in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You may go into a home and we think they may need health care, but they may need food. I can write medications, but if they're not eating, they don't have proper water. Resources, that's not going to get us anywhere. So it's very important that we do that because a lot of people did a lot of good things in the past by doing that. And I'm one of them. I want to take certain services into a community.
Mm-hmm.
No, you go into a community and you find out what their greatest needs are. And that's where you start.
Just healthcare overall as it relates to historically excluded communities, we know that especially in the Black community that there is a lot of mistrust. You go back to the Tuskegee study where the Black men, how they were treated and all of those different things. Even here in North Carolina, women with them becoming sterile. How do you approach building that trust and a rapport with patients who may have experienced discrimination or just may feel like the healthcare system in and of itself just does not care about them?
That's very important. I would say, first of all, that takes a while. Most of their experience goes, before we were born. grandparents, great-grandparents, and there's a lot of truth in that. So when we see that in the community, especially in the African-American community, and I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and I was trying to explain to him why I was putting him on a certain medication, and he was like, well, no, I'm not an experiment. The government's not going to track me. And I mean, even in today's time, we have the same thing that we have to go through. And there has been historically, I would say, reasons why we have that in our communities, especially. I think that to overcome that, when you say build rapport and trust, relationship, physician-patient relationship, and actually the patient controls that. I mean, I can tell you many patients that I had from many cultures, and probably within the first 3 months, I remember this one gentleman, African-American gentleman, finally told me, he said, it was close to 6 months, I'm sorry. He said, I trust you now. But that came about because every time he come to the office, even though he had a lot of things going on, diabetes, hypertension, congestive heart failure, I asked him, how you doing? How your family doing?
Right.
What can I do for you today? And I know that sounds so crazy, instead of just coming about your blood pressure, we say, hey, what can I do for you today? And we actually built a friendship. Awesome. And that friendship led to trust. And then he trusted me as his provider, as physician. So, it's a wonderful thing because he had children and a wife that also had a great need when it comes to medical. I was able to get to them by getting to him. So I tell people that when you build that bridge, when you build that trust, you get to impact the family and a community. But it really takes time. It takes effort. And unfortunately, in medicine today, sometimes that time, we have certain time restrictions and we have to kind of work with that. And sometimes that means seeing a patient a few times and really kind of dealing with what their needs are. And I know that sounds different, but asking the patient what their needs are. Things like I have patients that really can't afford their medication, and people have put down in the chart that they're non-compliant. I can afford 12 medications at $12 to $18, but when you add that up for a person on a fixed income, and that's why another reason why I don't trust physicians, but I think we're trying to take something from them. We're trying to give things to them, but it takes time. It takes building a friendship, and that goes outside of medicine. Sometimes it goes outside of the exam room.
So yeah, you're speaking about the socioeconomic factors that definitely impact. So like when somebody put non-compliant in a patient's record, that could mean so many things, but it usually has an economic value or a social value to it.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those factors that impact our community?
That actually, and it's a part of healthcare, but bridging those gaps and those who have disparities, it takes a lot. And I think when it comes to healthcare, we have kind of, I want to use the word fail, but we don't have an A+.
Right.
Because what you have to do, it goes outside of the office. One thing I do is I like to go to local pastors, and I do a lot of speaking in churches, my goodness, and community centers. The other day I was at a community where I went to a live event that one community person wanted to do something for raising money for women who has breast cancer who don't have resources. I went out there, I put on my workout clothes, and I worked out with them for 45 minutes, and then I had an opportunity to address them about things in their community. And a lot of the women in this community, and it's a very small community, outside of Fayetteville, they don't have resources. I mean, when they get diagnosed with breast cancer, they have noticed that a lot of those females don't even have insurance. So you get sent to a oncologist, copay is $90, even if you have insurance. And then you talk about setting up a treatment that can cost actually, and this is real cost, up to $30,000 per treatment. And you want to set up 12 of them. And going to community and having some type of event that, like she did, was a fundraising event. And thank God we did pretty good. We raised several $1,000s. It was, I think, close to about $15,000 that day. But we called around, got people to donate, and we actually put that money into the hands of females that day that had breast cancer that were getting treatment. That, talking about that socioeconomic barrier, it takes resources. Sometimes you can't just go in and say, well, we're going to send you here. We're going to provide resources, but resources also should be financial. Introducing them to certain healthcare resource, maybe online, that they do treat people who do not have insurance. And at Goshen, we do that. We treat probably more uninsured than we do insured. And our things, we always tell people, don't let not having insurance be a barrier for you getting to us. We write off a lot of a lot of dollars, but I've been doing that for the last 28 years. Providing that, you have to provide resources, and most of those are going to be monetary resources.
And dealing with those socioeconomic factors, as well as even we know in historically excluded communities that we don't quite speak the medical language, being able to communicate with those who may have like a 5th or 6th grade level or even 8th grade level education. How do you effectively communicate medical information to your patients from these different backgrounds?
That I found that over the last 30 years that most of the time we speak to patients and providers, we use a lot of medical jargon. Mm-hmm. And we actually forget. They don't teach us that in school. And most schools don't teach that. They don't teach you how to break things down and speak, in regular language, how to explain things. Because our tests and what we do in life is not that. So being able to communicate with someone, and first of all, learning, some people don't like it, but we always ask the person, what's your education level? What's the last grade you completed in school? And that tells us how to communicate with that person. But no matter how educated a person is, they can have 2 master's degrees. Talk with them. I usually try to speak on a 3rd grade level. And I think everyone should do that. That's my viewpoint. Right. Because you make things plain and simple. And then at the end of the conversation, ask them, are there any questions? I had a patient yesterday, and this was yesterday, that came from a cardiologist, and they came with all of their information. This is an educated person. He's ex-military, and he got a master's degree after he retired military. And I said, well, why didn't the cardiologist explain this to you? He said he did. And he said, but I didn't understand anything that he said. I said, why didn't you say to him, I don't understand?
Right.
But at the same time, why didn't the cardiologist say, hey, and I'm not pointing them out, but why didn't he say, are there any questions? Do you understand what I'm telling you about your 2D echo and your stress test? Speaking to people in layman's terms, say, okay, this is abnormal. This is why this doesn't look right. This is thicker. It should be 4 millimeters. It's 8. And this is how it would cause your heart to function. It'll cause an abnormality. You can't pump your blood efficiently. But he gave him all the ejection fraction and what grade his heart was and all that stuff. But yet we had to sit down and explain it to him on a 3rd grade level. So it really started with the providers. And also with the patient, I would say, ask your doctor, hey, if you don't understand something, say, hey, can you explain that a different way? I don't understand what you're saying. So there'll be effective communication. But most of the time, people will walk out of an office and they don't understand the instructions that you're giving them. They don't understand what you just discussed about their diabetes. And that's why I continue to be uncontrolled.
I'm so glad that you take the time to do that, because we know that is very important in our historically excluded communities. We've heard all throughout this month about one of the healthcare professionals' biggest concerns is the patients asking questions and feeling empowered to be able to do that. Yeah. As we're marching into wellness, navigating healthcare in historically excluded communities, we're getting ready to go on a break, but we are with Dr. David Parker, and we'll be right back after this break.
Beyond the Barriers radio show.
Are you searching for quality health care that's accessible and affordable? Look no further than Goshen Medical Center, serving Eastern North Carolina since 1979. At Goshen Medical Center, our mission is clear: to provide health care for all. With over 38 service locations, we're bringing quality medical, dental, and behavioral health services closer to you.
Goshen Medical Center truly cares about their patients. The staff here goes above and beyond to make sure we get the care we need.
And the best part, no one is turned away due to inability to pay. That's right. Everyone is welcome.
From Montgomery to Stanley counties and beyond, we're dedicated to improving lives, one patient at a time.
Visit our website at goshenmedical.org to find the nearest location and explore our range of services. And don't forget to leave your feedback. We value your input as we strive to serve you better. Goshen Medical Center, where your health and well-being come first. Because everyone deserves quality health care. Visit us today. Goshen Medical Center. Your health, our priority.
Meet Dr. Brian Johnson, a man with over 30 years of experience in changing lives. He's the force behind the Life Change Group NC Consulting, a beacon of hope in Albemarle, North Carolina. At Life Change, Dr. Brian, co-owner and wife Carissa Johnson and their team offer comprehensive counseling for individuals, couples, families, and even teens. Whether you're facing substance abuse, seeking personal development, or navigating life's challenges, Dr. Brian is here to guide you. As a board-certified Christian counselor and life coach, Dr. Brian works with you to create strategic plans, shares valuable resources, and helps you overcome obstacles. The Life Change Group is not just about counseling, it's about a journey to change. Dr. Brian actively participates in community initiatives, from mentoring at-risk youth to addressing racial justice. He's making a difference, one life at a time. If you're ready for positive transformation, contact the Life Change Group NC Consulting, 980-354-4222. Serving Stanley, Montgomery, Moore, and Davidson counties. The Life Change Group NC Consulting, where change begins and community thrives.
Are you feeling trapped by your past, struggling with self-esteem challenges, or facing unhealthy relationships? Meet Dr. Tawanda Matthews, clinical counselor at Why Not Me Services, LLC, and licensed clinical addiction specialist associate. She's here to help you break free.
Introducing Talk Tech Therapy, where therapy meets technology. Online counseling with Dr. Matthews is easy and hassle-free. Say goodbye to traffic and waiting rooms. Connect with Dr. Matthews from the comfort of your own home through Doxy.me, a HIPAA-compliant platform.
Your privacy is our priority. Each session is confidential and conducted by a licensed counselor under clinical supervision. Sessions range from 30 minutes to 2 hours, tailored to your needs. Whether it's individual or couples counseling, Dr. Matthews at Tech Talk Therapy have you covered.
Serving multiple states, including North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. Visit techtalktherapy.com to find the perfect clinician for you. Break free from the past and embrace a healthier future with Talk Tech Therapy. Dr. Tawanda Matthews is here for you. Visit techtalktherapy.com today.
Talk Tech Therapy, your path to healing, one click away.
Are you tired of the quick fixes that only address symptoms and not the root cause of your health issues? Welcome to Bowden's Natural Health Solution, where our mission is to guide you on a journey to true well-being through natural health care.
At Bowden's, we focus on the whole person body, mind, and spirit. Our team of certified natural health professionals is dedicated to providing complimentary health care that exceeds your expectations. We're not just about treating symptoms. We're about uncovering the root cause.
The National Association of Certified Natural Health Professionals recognizes our commitment to holistic health care in the least invasive way possible. We're here to educate you on the importance of preventive care, helping you improve or maintain your good health naturally.
Remember, we're not medical doctors, and we don't claim to be. But as natural health professionals, we'll research, educate, and provide recommendations tailored just for you.
Ready to embrace a lifestyle of natural health? Visit our website at bowdensnhs.com or call 910-220-8030. Bowden's Natural Health Solution, where your well-being is our top priority.
Welcome back to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, and those streaming live through free TuneIn radio app, Streema, Apple Music, Radio Seed, and more. You're listening to Beyond the Barriers radio show, and I'm your host, Mayor Sherry.
And I'm Coach Cindy.
If you're just tuning in, we're discussing March into Wellness, navigating healthcare within our historically excluded communities. And we have our special guest today, Dr. David Parker, and we've been talking about the different programs, initiatives, all of the great things that they've been doing in the community as it relates to Goshen and other initiatives that they have. And so, Dr. Parker, what actual roles do community partnerships and collaborations play in improving healthcare outcomes for historically excluded populations?
To me, they play a great part in learning what resources in your communities, anything from the social services, even here we have a food bank, clothing bank. So other partnerships, even with the government here, the local government, to see what type of programs they have, if there are any federal monies or we can tap into. The collaboration here is really broad. What we do here in Goshen is, when I say collaborate, we also collaborate with the federal government, of course, as well. It's amazing because one of how we got most of our mobile units is we got that through, and it's going to sound funny, there was a grant through the USDA. And you say USDA deal with food. Right. We have a grant through them. They gave us $4 million.
Oh, wow.
And we took that $4 million and we put it into we have 8 now mobile units. a lot of resources are out there, so it calls for a provider or getting online or going into their local communities and government and try to figure out, and also the federal government figure out what is out there, because again, they don't teach us that in medical school.
Right.
So you don't know how to bridge that gap. One thing, like I was speaking earlier, going out, making yourself available as a provider for your community, being a community servant. That could be working at the food bank, working at the homeless shelter, and learning what their rules and regulations are. So when you do have a patient, a person that need resources, you're able to tap into that. But without educating yourself and learning what's out there, all we can do is provide medical care, and that's not treating the whole person.
You talked about in your partnerships that you have like food banks and clothing banks, and so how do you assure that they're culturally aware and able to speak the language of your community so that they're addressing your community with cultural equity?
Right. One thing we do is going back to the kind of onboarding and the training process for providers. One thing we try to do, we try to match a provider with the community that looks like them. And we always can't do that. But I give you a perfect example I'm dealing with now. I have a couple of providers I have from Nigeria and a couple from India. So when we bring them in for training, we put them in the community. And two of them I took on a medical mission trip because they haven't been out of India their whole time. So I took them to South America for a week and let them work in the pediatric clinic, let them work in the community. They saw poverty beyond what they could see. And coming from India, they saw poverty, but we showed them a little more. We go to Haiti. We've been in Haiti for the last 22 years. We try to train them and let them see firsthand. So instead of telling them about it and educating, we take them in that environment. And that's why I love medical missions going abroad, because it trains them in how to interact with people better. So what we did when we came back, one of those Nigerian, she's a female. She works in a very small clinic here in town. If I tell you the area, you'd be like, whoa. And that small area is a bunch of farmers. Most of them are Caucasians. And it's amazing. She gets along great with them. But she had to learn their culture. She had to learn how they speak, what they mean. She had to learn their cultural lingo and what it means when an older man is always coming in with his wife. He's not restricting her. Sometimes that's their culture. I have a lot of people that come in from Yemen. They have their jobs on and everything. And I speak to the woman, but I'm speaking to her husband. She listened to her husband, so I have to talk to her husband. I have a wonderful story. Now, forgive me for taking up your time on this. I sent one provider into a community, and he saw a female, and she was 18 years old. And she was telling her about how she's not going to go to college and she's going to do certain things. And the provider took it the wrong way. She thought the girl was being oppressed. And she thought somehow throughout the interview she had depression. So she started the female on a medication. Of course, a week later, I get a call from her father, who's from Yemen. And he said, "What are you doing? What is she doing with my daughter?" So I invited them to come in. And the issue was he was one of her nieces. She was getting married to another gentleman who owned businesses, and she was going to get married and run his business. And this is a true story. It happened recently. So about 6 months later, after they got married, they went on a honeymoon. She came back to the office, and this is kind of a funny story. So she came and parked in front of the office, the same female. She was driving, which, in their culture, they don't do that as much. She was driving. She was driving a brand new Mercedes, which was hers. So I looked at my provider and said, "Does she look oppressed?"
Exactly.
And then she came in, she happy. She told us about the marriage. She told me about her husband to teach her how to do business. He's sending her back to school, how to do bookkeeping, stuff like that. If you don't read it or you don't know their culture differences and how the structure of their home is, you will mistreat, you will misdiagnose, and you would not gain their trust. And then you would not see them again. But through that, now we have the whole family. We have the uncle, cousin, two other uncles just moved from Afghanistan, so it's great. But we see a good variety of people. I would say people from all over the world. We see people from Egypt. I have a couple of patients there that only speak Arabic that I have, and we also use interpreters too. So we have interpreters that we dial into for every country on the planet.
The work that you all are doing, it is so much just being out in the field and seeing the needs and wanting to address the needs. But also that second part of it is, okay, we need the resources, we need the monies, we need the backing of legislation and all of that. How do you all advocate for policy changes or improvements to address the disparities that you may see, as well as the different things that you say, okay, look, yes, we're dealing with medical issues here, but there are other socioeconomic barriers. How do you all advocate for those policy changes?
Wow, that's a big one. We do that overseas and here as well. The first of all is education. If you look at our numbers here when it comes to healthcare, death rate, preterm birth, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks and strokes, you can compare the statistics in the United States with any two third world countries, and we're still behind.
Wow.
And so most politicians, and I'm not down on politicians, I love them, but they are unaware of that. That you have to kind of bring it to the forefront of what they're doing and make that a part of their vision as well. I think the first thing we do is communication and education. So true story, in a few months, and next month I have to go back to Belize, because during COVID, one of their greatest programs, which is called Care Belize, it got defunded. Well, Care Belize treat about 30,000 disabled children.
Wow.
So we sent representatives over there, and the government somehow forgot how important this program is. So we sent representatives 2 months ago to sit down with them, because we get calls from all of the parents, and it is very overwhelming. And they have field officers. They even lost their provider for the office. They lost their pediatrician. They lost their physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist for these children, because the government defunded the program.
Wow.
So to me, working with the politicians and let them see, or helping them understand the need of the people that they serve. After we do that, then we go back to what I said before. We ask them, how can we help? And let them understand that some of the monies that we're advocating for is to help these communities. And sometimes getting them to come out with us to the community to see the need. And it's easier to do in other countries than it is here. In other countries, I have an opportunity to meet kings and presidents and vice presidents. We take them into the community. One way that we've gotten Care Belize to build and help with us build an inspiration center in Belize City is we took the prime minister's wife to the community, and she saw the needs of the children, and it broke her heart. And I say this in a way, hoping not to offend, but here in medicine, we spend a lot of time in what I would consider the ivory tower. UNC, the big hospitals. We see people come in, we don't know where they're going when we send them home. Going into their communities and seeing the situations and seeing the need in their area, without doing that, you're going to be unaware. You're going to be ignorant because you are ignorant. So communication, local leaders, and getting them out to see the need, and do the same thing with physicians.
America is so Eiffel Towered that when they do a community visit, it becomes big news.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
It should be a regular occurrence. If you're going to be a policy maker, if you're going to exact a law, then you need to know the people you are affecting. We're tearing down Eiffel Towers this year. But I know you were speaking on the provider level, but that's true even on that level. If you are going to be a doctor of a community, of historically excluded community, then you definitely need to know where they're coming from. So you need to take an outside the office visit. Doctors used to do home visits, right?
Oh, yes. We still do. We only have 2 here in the whole county, but we still do.
Wow.
That's awesome. So tell us, what advice would you give to other healthcare professionals seeking to better serve patients from historically excluded communities?
I love that adage that people, I don't know who coined this, but it takes a village. I don't know if it was Hillary Clinton. I don't know who did it, but it really does. So since we know it takes a village, you have to build that. And you're not building that for yourself. You're building it for your community and for your patients. Looking at trying to improve a patient's life or even their outcome when it comes to their health, go beyond our offices. You have to get out. You have to think more globally. You have to think outside your office. You have to build that community of providers. You have to get out and see what resources out there. You have to educate yourself. You have to think outside of your office. And so I think when it comes to that, understand the community that you serve. If right now, if I were to move to Warsaw, my whole thought process of how I deliver medical care would change, because it's going to be a different culture there. I have to find out what the resources are. Or I can go in my office and just see people when they come in. Hey, how you doing? Here's a medication for your diabetes, your hypertension. But the problem is, when we do that, we're not seeing great outcomes because the need go beyond us. And one thing I could say, since I've done this for myself, and how I did that same thing. I got out in the community, and I came from impoverished situations, so I know what that looks like. The healthcare providers who are listening and those who train, get outside yourself, get outside your education training. You are, and I heard this before too, you are your educator. What you've read and what you're becoming is how you educate yourself. So how broad your mind is going to determine not just your lifestyle, but also it's going to affect those of the people around you too. So for healthcare, it goes beyond, for that word healthcare, it goes beyond the office. So you have to think more broader for your community. You have to be a community advocate for the people in your community, and that goes beyond your office.
Now that deserves a standing ovation.
Yes,
right, exactly. It does.
Awesome.
It does. And we want to appreciate you, Dr. Parker, for being our guest today on the show. If there's some listeners that want to go to Goshen, but if they want to get in contact with you, one of the facilities where you serve, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, when you go online and just put in Goshen Medical, you're going to come up with all of our sites and also our mobile unit. And this is something that people don't know that they can do. So when you go on Goshen, put Goshen.com or just Goshen Medical, you're going to come up with that. Say if you're a principal or you're a teacher at a school and you want the mobile unit to come out. Say if you are a church or you're a community leader, a mayor, that we will communicate with you. We will bring our mobile unit out to an event that you want to provide for us. Wow. So if you want to have a health fair, one thing we love to do in the community is go out and do physical exams. And for the high schools, we've done all of the high schools here. We do that, and people don't know that. You have certain physicians that will go out, charge maybe $20, $30, $40 for a physician, a physical visit. We'll bring our mobile unit out. We see 60, 70, 100 some people. We combine schools at a time. We charge like $5 or $10. And that one thing that we provide for the community, if you don't have the money, you already know what's going to happen. We're going to see you anyway. Mm-hmm. But if you are a church, you are a community leader in North Carolina, and you're going to have an event, you want to help us, you help you create a health event for your church, your community, we're obligated to do that. Awesome. So and that's something that people don't know. We will bring the mobile unit out. We'll bring education. We'll bring medicines. We'll come out and do physicals. So we would do that with you. So we provide that services, and a lot of people don't know that. But you like being busy. We do have a team of providers and other resource people that go out and do this. They will come out and they will speak with you, sit down with you, and they will advise, communicate that, and they will make it happen. So if you go on the website, Goshen Medical, and call the outreach services with the mobile unit, they will contact you back and they will provide those services.
Do you guys do family reunions? Because we're talking about how those settings ought to be a setting to talk about our health history and to help our families get into good health.
See, that's a great idea, and that's thinking outside of the box.
Yeah.
And that's how you affect and get to touch more people. So I'm going to put myself out there and say yes.
Okay.
We have to. So
well, we'll definitely be calling on you.
Reunion. Yeah. We can make that family reunion a part of a health fair.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's
So I would say yes. That's a great idea, and that's something that I think I'm going to write down and take for myself, for my own family.
All right. Well, thank you once again for being on our show today. This is our March into Wellness, Navigating Healthcare in Historically Excluded Communities. So thank you so much once again, Dr. David Parker. You take care.
Thank you for having me.
Are you searching for quality health care that's accessible and affordable? Look no further than Goshen Medical Center, serving Eastern North Carolina since 1979. At Goshen Medical Center, our mission is clear: to provide health care for all. With over 38 service locations, we're bringing quality medical, dental, and behavioral health services closer to you.
Goshen Medical Center truly cares about their patients. The staff here goes above and beyond to make sure we get the care we need.
And the best part, no one is turned away due to inability to pay. That's right. Everyone is welcome.
From Montgomery to Stanley counties and beyond, we're dedicated to improving lives, one patient at a time.
Visit our website at goshenmedical.org to find the nearest location and explore our range of services. And don't forget to leave your feedback. We value your input as we strive to serve you better. Goshen Medical Center, where your health and well-being come first. Because everyone deserves quality health care. Visit us today. Goshen Medical Center. Your health, our priority.
Meet Dr. Brian Johnson, a man with over 30 years of experience in changing lives. He's the force behind the Life Change Group NC Consulting, a beacon of hope in Albemarle, North Carolina. At Life Change, Dr. Brian, co-owner and wife Carissa Johnson and their team offer comprehensive counseling for individuals, couples, families, and even teens. Whether you're facing substance abuse, seeking personal development, or navigating life's challenges, Dr. Brian is here to guide you. As a board-certified Christian counselor and life coach, Dr. Brian works with you to create strategic plans, shares valuable resources, and helps you overcome obstacles. The Life Change Group is not just about counseling, it's about a journey to change. Dr. Brian actively participates in community initiatives, from mentoring at-risk youth to addressing racial justice. He's making a difference, one life at a time. If you're ready for positive transformation, contact the Life Change Group NC Consulting, 980-354-4222. Serving Stanley, Montgomery, Moore, and Davidson counties. The Life Change Group NC Consulting, where change begins and community thrives.
Are you feeling trapped by your past, struggling with self-esteem challenges, or facing unhealthy relationships? Meet Dr. Tawanda Matthews, clinical counselor at Why Not Me Services, LLC, and licensed clinical addiction specialist associate. She's here to help you break free.
Introducing Talk Tech Therapy, where therapy meets technology. Online counseling with Dr. Matthews is easy and hassle-free. Say goodbye to traffic and waiting rooms. Connect with Dr. Matthews from the comfort of your own home through Doxy.me, a HIPAA-compliant platform.
Your privacy is our priority. Each session is confidential and conducted by a licensed counselor under clinical supervision. Sessions range from 30 minutes to 2 hours, tailored to your needs. Whether it's individual or couples counseling, Dr. Matthews at Tech Talk Therapy have you covered.
Serving multiple states, including North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. Visit techtalktherapy.com to find the perfect clinician for you. Break free from the past and embrace a healthier future with Talk Tech Therapy. Dr. Tawanda Matthews is here for you. Visit techtalktherapy.com today.
Talk Tech Therapy, your path to healing, one click away.
Are you tired of the quick fixes that only address symptoms and not the root cause of your health issues? Welcome to Bowden's Natural Health Solution, where our mission is to guide you on a journey to true well-being through natural health care.
At Bowden's, we focus on the whole person body, mind, and spirit. Our team of certified natural health professionals is dedicated to providing complimentary health care that exceeds your expectations. We're not just about treating symptoms. We're about uncovering the root cause.
The National Association of Certified Natural Health Professionals recognizes our commitment to holistic health care in the least invasive way possible. We're here to educate you on the importance of preventive care, helping you improve or maintain your good health naturally.
Remember, we're not medical doctors, and we don't claim to be. But as natural health professionals, we'll research, educate, and provide recommendations tailored just for you.
Ready to embrace a lifestyle of natural health? Visit our website at bowdensnhs.com or call 910-220-8030. Bowden's Natural Health Solution, where your well-being is our top priority.
Beyond the Barriers Nugget of Wisdom from Coach Cindy.
Hi, this is Coach Cindy with your Nugget of Wisdom for the week. And this week I'm going to talk about the power of words. Words are so important, and I think sometimes we forget the power of our words. But it's amazing because when a child is born into the world, the first thing parents get excited about is when the child speaks its first words. You know, mama wants it to be mama and daddy wants it to be dada. But they're so excited because finally their child can begin to communicate, to talk. But as we grow and our vocabulary increases, sometimes we forget that the simple words that we say out of our mouth can change the way someone thinks or feels or even live. Remember, mom gets excited, dad gets excited because the child is saying something that really makes their heart feel good. But when we get to a place where our words really can affect someone. Are we cautious? Do we understand that one single phrase out of our mouth can actually determine someone's life? We should. So words can make you happy, they can make you sad, they can make you feel good, but they can make you angry. They can cause you to think positively, or they can bring a negative light to your world. Words are free, but they cost a lot. So we should be very, very careful when we are using words and determining what someone else is going to hear from our mouth. The Bible tells us that in Proverbs 16:24, that gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. We should be very careful of our words. Make sure that the words that you are saying out of your mouth is truth and wisdom. Who knows? The very life you change might be your own. So let's today decide that we're going to use the power of words for the good of all.
Beyond the Barriers Nugget of Wisdom from Coach Cindy.
Beyond the Barriers Radio Show.
Attention innovators, community builders, and champions of positive change. Beyond the Barriers Radio Show is inviting you to be part of our empowering journey. We're on the lookout for sponsors who believe in breaking barriers and amplifying voices in historically excluded communities. Want to showcase your brand or cause to our engaged audience? Visit Sandhills Corporation or to explore exciting sponsorship opportunities, from on-air endorsements to impactful commercials. Become a part of a platform that celebrates resilience, triumph, and community strength. Our show is not just about telling stories. It's about shaping narratives and making a lasting impact. By sponsoring Beyond the Barriers, you align your brand with a mission of inclusivity, empowerment, and positive change. Visit sandhillscooperation.org today to purchase advertisements, endorsements, or even secure a spot as a guest on our show. Let's break barriers together and create a vibrant, connected community. Beyond the Barriers Radio Show, where every sponsorship is an investment in positive transformation. Be a catalyst for change. Visit sandhillscooperation.org now. Beyond the Barriers Radio Show. Breaking barriers, building connections.
We have been discussing March into Wellness, navigating healthcare in the historically excluded communities. Join us next week as we talk about economic development within historically excluded communities and what does it look like.
We want to thank today's guest, Dr. David Parker, MD of Goshen Medical Center.
Beyond the Barriers Radio Show.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Continue to tune in every Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. Please listen live 24/7 by going to wdrbmedia.com and click on the Listen Live tab. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show or want free advertising, call us at 910-573-3070 or email us at sandhillscooperation@gmail.com. Connect with us on social media at Sandhills Cooperation Association, also at Beyond the Barriers Radio Show. You've been listening to Beyond the Barriers Radio Show, and we are your hosts, Mayor Sherry
and Coach Cindy, on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, for double the information and inspiration. Sowing seeds of change, breaking barriers, and transforming lives. That's what we do at Beyond the Barriers. Until next week, continue to be blessed.
Beyond the Barriers Radio Show.